Welcome back to Unlockable Content. We have a special Father's Day episode. I'm recording this on Father's Day. Sorry, it's running a little late as far as coming out for airing goes. But it's still special, recorded on Father's Day. Believe it or not, here with my father. So I am the Wolfman Lewis Wolf, and this is my father, Bruce Wolf.
Senior Wolfman.
Senior. Esquire.
Old Wolfman.
The old Wolfman in the sea.
The old Wolf. Whatever.
Thanks, Dad. So, today, as many of you know from watching the channel, movies are a big part of my life. I'm a self-described cinephile, and I believe that started with my father. Now, growing up, he always told me that he had a plan in mind. He had this vision for what my cinematic journey was going to be. He was going to introduce different movies and different character elements and people to me at different stages of my life. And it definitely helped influence the kind of mindset and comedy and person that I am now. So I was figured I'd ask my father and get a rundown of what his mindset was becoming a father and deciding that these are the things I'm going to do at certain times. So get an idea of it. So what was your plan, Dad, going from...
What was my... I didn't really even think I had a plan. First of all, he wasn't lying there at birth and going, wow, I'm going to introduce this baby to movies. I mean, it's not like from the moment of your birth I was figuring out what movies I was going to show you when. I mean, you had an interest in movies long before I thought about it. As a toddler, you must have watched Pinocchio, Disney's version of Pinocchio. I don't know, 10,956 times.
A day?
A day.
A day.
I mean, the movie would end. It was, Lou, what do you want to watch next? Pinocchio. You just watched it. Want to watch Pinocchio? Then you wouldn't be any comic conversation. Pinocchio. Pinocchio. It would start like around, I don't know, 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe end 8 o'clock at night.
Pinocchio the whole way through.
I mean, you got no strings on me. I don't know. I think I may have recited dialogue to Pinocchio in my sleep. I don't know.
I wouldn't shake that up with Cinderella or something.
Oh no, you didn't want to switch to anything else. I think at some point when you were, I don't know, I guess not quite 10 years old. I think we were home one afternoon or one evening, and I think Turner Classic Movies was going to show a Marx Brothers movie. I think it was Duck Soup. And I think I wanted to watch, because I love the Marx Brothers, especially the older Marx Brothers movies that were made for Paramount in the late 20s and early 30s. I wanted to watch it, and I was hoping that, I didn't think that you would like understand or appreciate like Groucho's dialogue, but I thought maybe you would like laugh at Harpo's slapstick. So I put it on, and you really had an adverse reaction to the fact that the movie was in black and white, which I couldn't help.
Yeah.
So you seemed kind of bored by the whole thing, and I put on something else and go watching Marx Brothers. But I think at that point I decided, at some point I've got to introduce Lou to the Marx Brothers. They're funny, they laugh, they're Jewish, and I think you would appreciate, you know, having that humor. And along the same lines, I mean, I like comedy movies, so I was thinking, you know, introducing you to Monty Python. One of my favorite films outside of the Marx Brothers is the original version of The Producers with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel. I mean, I've seen that movie maybe 100 times and it still makes me laugh.
Yeah, I remember it started with, to my recollection, it started with Mel Brooks. And then you were going to graduate me into the Marx Brothers.
Possibly, because Mel Brooks has more slapstick than the Marx Brothers. But you know, so I think if anything, I was trying to figure out when would you understand the various movies at which age, and I think it started probably with Mel Brooks and probably The Producers. So I think it kind of like went from Mel Brooks, and then the Marx Brothers and Monty Python at about the same time, because I know I got you started watching Monty Python's Flying Circus. This was after you and your mom and I were separated. Your mom and I were separated, and we were watching Monty. And I brought you home from spending the weekend with me, and I was like, when your mom opened up the front door, let's both yell. Nobody expects this.
I remember that. Position. I remember doing that. I had to be what, maybe 11?
Maybe 11.
Barely pushing 12.
No, it was before your bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
So sure enough, we're standing there at the front door. Your mom opens the front door.
I haven't thought of that in forever.
We both yelled, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition," and she gave me the dirtiest look. It's like, you introduced him to that?
It was at that moment that my child was ruined.
It's like, it's funny.
Because I remember at first it was Holy Grail. I saw Holy Grail before I saw Flying Circus.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I think you actually took me to a special showing in a theater.
Could be.
Yeah, it was at the Ritz. God rest the Ritz at the Bourse.
Yeah.
That was
a lot of good movies.
Yeah, but you showed me Holy Grail in theaters, and then you introduced me to Flying Circus, and even well before that, you were trying to introduce me to Mel Brooks, and I was still young, and I had this aversion to movies that felt older, that felt old.
Could be.
So you tried showing me the producer.
It took a while before you would actually sit down and watch a black and white film.
It did. And I make no qualms about that. Now I love them, but it took me a while. And for a while, it hurt to look at. I had, just the flat colors. And
I named my iguana after Zeppo.
By the time we had the iguana, I actually liked black and white movies. But you tried to show me the producers, and I barely made it up to Gene Wilder's freak out over the blanket, and I just wasn't feeling it. And then, not too long after, a couple of months, maybe a year after that, I was all about Spaceballs. That was my big introduction to Mel Brooks, because I had a greater love of sci-fi over everything, which you helped also instill in me with being 2 steps shy of a Trekkie. So I was really into Spaceballs, and then you were like, well, the producers is also Mel Brooks, and I was like, oh, really? I didn't put 2 and 2 together, so then you got me to watch the producers finally, and I fell in love with it, and it shot off from there.
I love Dick Shawn singing Love Power.
I didn't appreciate it then yet.
Okay. And then, you just started watching movies all the time. Then you started quoting dialogue from movies, and then
we started conversing in dialogue.
Then you knew about more movies than I had ever seen, and one thing led to another, and you wanted to go into college and major in digital film production. That
was there ever a point where you thought to yourself that I created a monster?
No.
Where I was too far gone into.
I was hoping you would be like, get out more and be more physically active and not sit in front of the computer or the TV watching movies all the time.
And now look at this, I'm doing YouTube.
And
it worked out. Can you think of any other good movie highlights from me growing up?
Well, this isn't a movie highlight. This is a television show.
Oh, okay.
Because afterwards, when I told you about this and you researched it, you thought it was creepy.
Oh.
When you were a child, a toddler, in addition to watching Pinocchio ad nauseum, you liked a show called Bloopy.
Oh, okay. Yes, I remember this comment. This happened only like a year or two ago.
And it was actually very cute because, like all toddlers, you did not always hear things correctly. So the Bloopy show ended with him doing a dance called the Bloopy Shuffle, which I guess with your toddler ears, you interpret it as the Bloopy Shovel. So Bloopy would be there dancing the shuffle, and you would be saying, do Bloopy Shovel, which I thought was very cute. But then, I guess, was it a year ago or more?
No, it had to be somewhere around 2 or 3 years ago. We were leaving I remember we were leaving Aunt Ruth's. Alonda was in the car with us, and we got into this topic for some reason. Mm-hmm. So you were reminding me of this show, and I had no recollection, or I had a very vague recollection. Mm-hmm. So I remember looking up the picture of this thing, and I remember exactly what I said. I looked at it, and I was like, what is this freaking Chernobyl Olive doing entertaining children, and why did you let me watch it?
I was at work. It was like Barney the Dinosaur. I didn't want you watching Barney the Dinosaur. But you like Barney the Dinosaur. Barney the... Boy.
Thank you, Dad.
I was at work.
Was there anything that you can think of that I introduced you to, saying that I overshadowed your love of movies and went on my own and watched more than you've seen?
Well, you probably showed me some sci-fi movies. I was always like sci-fi, so
Yeah.
you showed me some sci-fi movies. But, you know, when we would talk about movies, we always found things that, you know, we enjoyed together. Like we went, well, because you mentioned the Ritz, we went to the Ritz to watch Metropolis together.
Yes, we saw Metropolis. That was amazing.
You know.
Yeah, not many people can say in the 2010s, the 2000s, the 2010s, that they went to a movie theater and saw
A silent movie.
a movie from the 1920s in a theater. So, I mean, just experiences that I get to share with my father. So, all of that starting way back with Pinocchio and ending up here. So,
Yes, here we are, some nearly 3 decades later, talking about Pinocchio.
it all comes full circle, doesn't it, Dad?
Over a big-nosed wooden puppet. Jiminy Cricket.
So, thank you all very much for joining us on this Father's Day special of Unlockable Content Filmosophy. That was the segment that I did anytime I talked movies, dedicated an episode of movies, it was Filmosophy. So, Father Filmosophy. So.
And coming up next is another exciting episode of Dr. Sheldon Cooper and Fun with Flags.
Thanks, Dad. All right, take care, YouTube.